you guys? Welcome to Kenya Has Thoughts. In today's video, I do have a few things to come talk to you guys about. Not that many things to talk to you guys about because over on my Patreon, I am doing Vlogmas once again. I post a video every single day on my Patreon. Over on the Patreon, we discuss many different topics, whatever topic is on my mind. So if you wonder what I feel about a certain topic, more than likely I have already posted about it over on my Patreon. But let's dive on in. The first thing I want to discuss is Diddy. So everything happened with Diddy and the lawsuit with Cassie. He settled and everything was squared away with that. Well, it's time for the talking heads to talk. It is time for the journalists, the urban bloggers, and everyone else in between who has a podcast and a mic to talk about all this stuff. And it has not been lost on me that a lot of people who have a lot to say about a lot of things seem to not have anything to say about P. Diddy. There's two things I want to hit on this about. Number one, misogyny. When Jada Pinkett was doing her press tour, everybody named Mama had something to say. Everybody was calling Jada the worst person in the world. Everyone was being like, she's terrible, she's awful, she's mean, she's rude, and whatever. Have your opinion, it does not matter. But when you get someone who is objectively being accused of terrible things, why do you no longer have anything to say about it? You have something to say every time the ladies do anything, or you have something to say every time you think a black man is painting black people in a bad light because they're not living the way you would necessarily want to live. You have something to say. But when it's time to say something about y'all OGs, when it's time to say something about someone who has been in celebrity, who has been famous, who has power, and who has all of this stuff, it's time to speak up on them. All of a sudden, you have nothing to say. You have nothing you want to bring to the people. You don't find that curious. You don't find that curious. And it's just not lost on me that y'all pick on the people y'all think y'all should pick on. Like, it's easy to pick on people who cannot defend themselves. It's easy to pick on people when you know you're not going to get any pushback about it. Will and Jada are living their rich, fabulous lives. They're not going to come and talk to you about a goddamn thing. They are not going to sit up here and give a fuck about what you got to say about them, right? So they're not going to say anything to you. And then the girls who y'all be bullying on your little podcast also not going to say nothing to you because all your little fanboys going to come and drag them. So they leave you alone. But when it's time to speak up on somebody who you believe has power or you believe affects your checks or who you scared of, you have nothing to say because you're scary. I want people to admit they pick and choose who they want to come after. They pick and choose who they choose to hold accountable in certain instances when it comes to how the black community is seen. Y'all have so much to say about Sexy Red. That's what we can really get on. How y'all have so much to say about Sexy Red and how Sexy Red is making black people look, and y'all always have something to say about how certain black women are making other black women look, when in the reality is everyone is living their own goddamn life, and anyone who believes one person is a reflection of the whole community already has no respect for that said community, right? And also, Sexy Red, as far as we know, ain't hurting nobody, so she can do whatever the hell that she wants, right? Y'all have so much to say about her and what her effect is on the black community, what her effect is on the youth. But when we get constant stories about these men who are doing awful things to people, you have nothing to say. You have nothing to say. You don't go on these big soliloquies about how the black community is in shambles and there's no hope for the future. There's no hope for the kids. Oh my gosh, I can't believe people are out here doing here. Black people are ambassadors. We never get those things. We never get those things. We get those things when it's time to talk about the women. When it's time to talk about Jada, you have so much to say about how the black family's struggling, the black family, the black woman, the black woman. When it's Sexy Red, it's the black woman, blah, blah, blah. But when it's time to speak up on other things, that's when all of a sudden you lockjaw. That's when all of a sudden you don't have anything to say. You don't find that quizzical. you don't find that quizzical, because the real tea of it all is that you pick on the people who you believe you can pick on. You pick on the people who you're not going to get any pushback for picking on them, because all of your audience is going to agree, or you just like them. You just like them and you don't want to get sprayed up when your tea come out. It's one of the two, but regardless, so that's pretty much my opinions on that. I just think a lot of people who usually have a lot to say about a lot of things are suddenly very, very quiet when it comes to speaking on Diddy. And I just find it curious as to why that is. But let's move on to something else. The Sims 4 dropped for rent. I don't know why in my last video I told you guys that they were dropping this pack in January. I don't know where I got that from, but it just shows you how out of touch I am with the Sims community. Baby, that shit come out next week. That thing come out next week. You can get your hands on it maybe by the time you watch this. But baby, The Sims 4 for rent is in its beta, basically the beta part of it. So basically it has gone out to simmers as test try. So nothing is set in stone. So do take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But we always say that. But in the end, things are exactly how they usually are already when they send it out to people. So like, I think the pack gonna be just the same. And why I'm hearing through the grapevine and stuff don't work. Why I'm hearing through the, y'all saw in my Sims video, I was telling you guys about how I was really excited to play the landlord career. I wanted to play the landlord career. I don't care what nobody say, yes, filthy, yes, nasty, it's a game and I want to have a little bit of fun. And so I wanted to play the landlord thing, and people are saying that the pack does not work, and I am just tired. I am just tired. Here is the thing. I am not one of those people who constantly says what should be in the base game of The Sims. Quite frankly, there's two types of Sims people I find absolutely annoying. The people who constantly talk about The Sims 3 and tell you what was in The Sims 3 and that's not in The Sims 4. It's just like, baby, The Sims 4 been out for a decade, like, let it go. And then two, I'm not one of those people who, when a new pack comes out, people sit up here and be like, this should have been in the base game, this should have been in the base, because it wasn't. So like, where do we go from here? Like, where do we simply go from here? So like, I'm not even mad at the fact that like, this is like an apartment pack and we've already got city living, and then you gave us apartments and eco lifestyle, then you gave us rental life, and now we getting this pack again. Like, I could get nasty. I could get nasty and be like, this shit, these building stuff and all that should have been in something, and one of them packs it should have been in, but I'm not even doing that. The only thing I am asking for you, from you, is that it works. Is that it works. And the girls are telling me people not paying their rent. The girls are telling me people not paying their rent. Everything is like very glitchy, very buggy. Like the stuff, the interactions are kind of like pre-planned. And then the thing that annoys me the most about The Sims 4 and almost every single pack, I'm trying to think of a pack that does well with this, but I can't think of one. It's empty. Another thing that people are saying is that it's empty. The two things that I did not want to happen in this pack, I wanted everything to work. I wanted you to be able to play the landlord thing. I wanted everything to work that way. And then number two, I wanted you to be able to see people. I wanted people to be around. I wanted this to be a bustling city, because that's the whole point of why you would live in such close quarters, because there's so many people trying to live. But if no one's there, what's going on? Another thing that kind of bothered me, I don't really like how if everyone is living like in an apartment or something, or in a townhome, and like you can see, you take off the roof and you should be able to see the person, you kind of can't. Like you got to go into a loading screen to then go into their apartment. It kind of allows The Sims 4 to cop the plea when you don't see the people in the house beside you, because they're just going to load those people in there once you go in there. I don't know. I guess, like I said in my original video, I think I was just asking for too much. I think I was asking too much. I think I was expecting too much to happen. And baby, that is simply not what we are getting. So baby, Sims 4 for rent for me is a chop. I am a builder girl. I do enjoy building, but I don't think this is expansion pack worthy. If the stuff you can do in the town is all rabbit holes and it's empty, and then the whole landlord thing is also not working, I just don't see how in good faith this would be anything that I need to buy. And as of recent, I used to just wait until packs went 50% off, and that's when I would buy them if I wasn't interested in them. I haven't even been doing that as of late. Like, I haven't bought the last 3 expansion packs. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So, Sims update, for rent is a chop. For rent is a chop. I don't want anything to do with it, because here's my thing. When people are in the middle being like, it's fine on the Sims pack, and they're Simmers, more than like that means that thing is doo-doo from a butt. Like, that thing is horrible. When they are like, I mean, I guess it's good in some ways, you know you can do it, because they're going to be positive about everything. So therefore, if they can't even muster up, you know, some excitement for what that mean you gonna do, what that mean you gonna do with it. So, you know, buy at your own risk. I don't know what to tell you. The next thing that I want to discuss is Goodreads. Now, usually I talk about Goodreads over on my Lily Reads book channel, but this is kind of like overall thoughts. So Goodreads is just like you think a letterbox. Obviously Goodreads came before letterbox, but think both of those things together, where like you log what you've read. So you go on there, you find the book that you're reading, you put currently reading, and then you can give updates while you're reading it. And then once you're finished with the book, you log the book, you put it in, that's your score. And if you make it public to everyone, people can see the ratings that you give to books. The ratings on books matter because the Goodreads Choice Awards is a thing. So the best books of the year, based on what people are saying, how many reviews a book has got, if the book got good reviews and all of that, you know, buzz. The thing about Goodreads is we don't know how none of this works. Goodreads is one of those things where like there's no one who is front facing on Goodreads. Like a lot of times these social media sites have like a social media person. There's like people you can get in contact with. They do sponsorships with people. Goodreads does not do that. There is no one to contact. There is no one to get in touch with. Like they just, you know, they do what they do and there's no one you can do anything about. But the thing is, I would love to sit up on here and say that Goodreads doesn't matter. But the thing is, it kind of does. Like books do become popular when a bunch of people log them on Goodreads. They do get into a lot of people's faces. If a book wins the Goodreads awards, a lot of bookstores will put it in stock. Like it does matter, unfortunately. Like it shouldn't work that way, but it does work that way. And so when you log a book, you add to the score and whatever. So at the end of every single year, there's the Goodreads Choice Awards, and you have different categories for the Goodreads Choice Awards. Since probably maybe 5 years ago, we've been losing categories. Sometimes we add categories, but a lot of times categories have been dwindling. We've been getting less more than we've been getting more. Well, the reason why I'm coming to talk to you about the Goodreads Choice Awards is because they're bad. And because they're bad and because I care about not only do I care about books being written, but I care about book publishing. I care about books being published, and I care about books getting into the hands of people who want to read them. I do not believe there's a lack of audience for books. I believe there's a lack of being able to get access to certain books. I do not believe that people are just not reading something or people just don't want to read something. I believe there are people who are not doing the work that is needed to be done to get these books in the hands of people who want to read them. How long were we told that people didn't care about romance books anymore? All the idea people had of romance books was historical fiction, mass market paperback, and Nicholas Sparks. And boom, you get the romance renaissance. Everybody and their mama reading romance books. How many times were we told fantasy was dead? Fantasy was dead. No one cares about fantasy anymore. Then boom, fantasy comes right back. Right now we're seeing this fizzle of possibly dystopian coming back. Things are always coming back. And the thing is that people do want to read these things. They just didn't know that these stuff exists. It doesn't change the fact that the Goodreads Choice Awards matters because a lot of those books are the books that people are talking about and the books that are going to be put on bookshelves in bookstores, that are going to be put into libraries. And so when I looked at the Goodreads Choice Awards, I was really, really disappointed. The first thing I want to discuss is how I go to look at the Goodreads Choice Awards And the thing that is missing is middle grade. So middle grade is for audience like who are in middle school. Think middle school children, think 9 to about 13, maybe 14. That is who these books are appealing to. And that genre is completely wiped out from the Goodreads Choice Awards. What does that say about people who read middle grade books? Middle grade books are for a certain group of people, but middle grade books can appeal to anyone. I think of books that I read this year that were middle grade. This could have been included in the Goodreads list. This could have been included in the Goodreads list. I gave both of those books really high ratings and I really, really enjoyed them. And what does that say? Because more than the Goodreads, it feels good to be recognized, right? It feels good to open up the Goodreads Choice Awards and see that your book is in the categories. And so what does it say to these authors who are writing these incredible books for people of a certain age, for kids? What does it say to them? And though these people are so important, these people are writing books for the future. This is kids who will pick up these books, and we want kids to continue reading. And this is an all hands on deck. You can't just blame parents for why kids don't read. You can't just blame teachers. You can't just blame libraries. This is an all hands on deck. And yes, when it comes to recommending books, when it comes to putting it in people's faces, hey, you should read this book, we all are a part of that. So when you just wipe all out the middle grade category, it's really unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate to see that happen. Another thing we can get into, romance books. So you go into the romance genre of the Goodreads category, and baby, where the black people at? Baby, where the black people at? I run an entire book club called the Lily Reads Book Club. And in the Lily Reads Book Club, these are all the books that we read this year, and all of them are black romances. Yes, my entire book club is centered around reading black romances. And I found 11 black romance books, some of them from this year, some of them not from this year, and we read them. And you guys, none of them were in the Goodreads Choice Awards categories. None of them were, except for one, which made the young adult, which was highly suspicious and unfairly cute. Everything else is nowhere to be found. And once again, what does that say to romance readers? Romance readers who want to see themselves on the page. A lot of stuff about reading is being able to relate. So the Goodreads Choice Awards really pissed me off. Less about it being about Goodreads, because I don't care that much about Goodreads, and more of it being about a big part of reading is what you are shown. It's about finding things that are to your taste. I don't care what people think about my reading taste, because number one, I know I read way more than other people. I know how to read, and I read things that are enjoyable to me. I go out of my way to find books that I know I will enjoy, and that's because I am introduced to those things. I follow people who care about the books that I want to read, and so a lot of people just don't have the time that I have or the resources that I have to get the books that they will like in front of them, and it's everyone's job to advertise those books to people. Middle schoolers need to see books advertised to them. And so when you just knock off a whole genre, what does that say for the people who are writing these books? You know, that their stuff doesn't matter. And they do matter. They do matter. So the Goodreads Choice Awards really pissed me off. The last thing I want to talk about is poor people. This is really quick, and I'm not going to keep you very long. If people are on the internet complaining about how they can't make ends meet, what is it in y'all that makes y'all want to be like, well, it's because you're not living within your means. Well, it's because you don't know how to shop. Well, it's because you got too many kids. Well, it's because you need a better job. Well, it's well. Where is your empathy? Why all of a sudden when someone is poor or someone has less than you or maybe more than you, but they're talking about how they're having a hardship, how it's really hard to make it through the week with the amount of money they have, where does your empathy go? You acting like you never had hard times? But the thing is, I think sometimes people have had hard times, and so they take that anger they have with their life and project it onto other people. Be like, at least you doing better than me. And it's just like, we all can be doing better. We all, like, do you guys understand there should be fire in the streets? Do you guys understand that, like, people are doing really, really bad right now? Like, just the bare minimum of groceries cost like $200. Like, stuff is really expensive right now. People can't get housing. The housing market is absolutely crazy. We are at a place right now where, like, you have to be rich to own a home. You have to be rich to own a home. We are not talking, you guys, when I go back to where I grew up, the houses around where I grew up were big houses, but like now these houses are going for like $1.2 million. When we were growing up, nobody was living in $1 million home. Like, yes, I knew the people, like we lived in like big houses, but we wasn't living in $1 million houses. Like, you have to be crazy rich to now live in the side of town in which I grew up, and that makes no sense. That makes no sense because my family was not crazy rich. Like, it's just not possible these days to just live like 20 years ago, you could have a regular job and live in a decent side of town and have a decent sized house and go on decent vacations and have decent food and go out to eat every once in a while. That's not the reality. That's not the reality anymore. A lot of people who do have houses are house poor. They have a house and can't afford to put anything into it, don't have any money in the bank account. Or you have people who live in apartments or something and they wish they could get a house, but they can't get a house. Then you have the people who have apartments and they barely holding on to them. They just trying to, I'm trying to make ends meet. A lot of people are struggling, and that's the reality. So when someone goes online and they are vulnerable about the fact that they are struggling, for your first thing to do is be well, and it's like, where's your empathy? Like, these people have children and they don't know how they're going to feed their children. These children deserve experiences. These children deserve extracurricular activities. These children deserve so much. And the reality is that a lot of people cannot give these children what they deserve. A lot of people aren't talking about sending their kids to private school. They're not talking about trips to Bora Bora. They're not talking about going to Aspen. They're talking about just going down to the beach, going down to Myrtle Beach every now and then. That's it. Having $30 extra to put a child in after school, for a couple hours every day. That's what they're talking about. But we're not even talking about the people who can't afford to just put their children into preschool, put their children through daycare, put their stuff like that. We're not talking about that. And that's the reality for a lot of people. And so when y'all get up online and just say the worst things to these people and act like these people don't know their own finances, or you can't budget your way out of poverty. You can't budget your way out of financial strife if you're not getting enough money in. You think they want to live paycheck to paycheck? Y'all just weird. Y'all just weird. Everything's just weird. Everything's just weird. And that's all I have to say. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.